What is going on, everybody? It is episode 568 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I'm trying to have a good day, but this morning I was seeing a lot of anti-podcaster sentiment on the timeline on X.
About what? Oh, wait, about Ben Shapiro?
Yeah, I mean...
Work till 100 and die!
It started with Ben Shapiro saying that retirement age shouldn't be a thing.
If you swing a hammer for a living, you should literally do it until your arm falls off!
And everyone was like, you just talk into a microphone for a living. What do you have to say about this, about meaningful work? And I was like, hey. Stop with chill out with the anti-podcaster sentiment.
The free market decides what is meaningful work, ladies and gentlemen.
And if you're here right now, you decided that podcasters are adding value to society. So
why?
Thank you for that. I don't know why you're here, but thank you for being here. Also, Sara is joining us today.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited for today's show.
Are you going to work till 100 and die?
If I'm a podcaster, sure.
Yes. Okay. I love that because, look, whatever your point is on that argument, this is why politicians get it right sometimes. They just lie, right? They're like, yeah, we don't want you to work till 100 years old. They do want you. They want you to work forever so that they can continue to get Social Security. You know, to make money off you, to tax you forever.
I'm liking your energy today.
Yes.
Too.
Yes. Well, we're too busy. We're arguing about whether there's a genocide in Gaza, and I saw people in the chat talking about.
How can you care about pop culture when there's genocide going on in Gaza?
Well, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow because that's what they're saying about Nev Campbell. How can you dare care about Scream 7 when there's a genocide going on in Gaza? I have no idea, you know, it doesn't affect me. I don't even really care about Scream 7 either because I didn't really care about it after she left in Scream 6. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But today, guys, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Share these videos with your friends so that more people can come in here, hang out, and watch this show, and they can share their opinions on what's going on in Gaza. I don't know what that would have to do with this show, but they can. You know. Also, remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those super chats right then and there, and then we will do our best to get back on topic. You know, perhaps you have questions about what our thoughts are about what's going
about Gaza.
Exactly. Look, it's just weird how everything now, even in pop culture, is getting boiled down to whether you're either a Zionist or somebody who supports Hamas, and that's like your two sides.
It's crazy.
And I don't know what that has to do with entertainment, but they've made it so because they're the ones who have focused on identity politics. It's stupid. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. It's going to be a lot of fun. First things first, we're going to talk about Kristen Stewart, who went on, who was it, Kimmel? It wasn't Kimmel, it was Stephen Colbert.
No, she was on Stephen Colbert. I mean, you didn't even get invited on The Tonight Show.
Yeah, that's rough, right?
Like, you're that irrelevant with your lesbian bodybuilder movie.
So we're going to talk about that because they apparently didn't want her cover from Rolling Stone magazine, as if anybody still subscribes to Rolling Stone magazine, to be shown on air. I have no idea why. But at the same point, she wanted to call that out on air, which is a point of maybe the most privilege, where they tell you not to do something, and then on their own network, you both do it, and then shame them for telling you not to do it. Tell me they're not privileged.
That is some job security right there for
is.
Stephen Colbert.
So we're going to do that. We're also going to talk about a bunch of controversies relating to cartoons and animation, because Inside Out is their own new agenda. That would be the word for it. Agenda, going with the sequel to Inside Out. It's Inside Out 2 that comes out, when is it, June?
Yeah, Pride Month.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how you're supposed to, according to a bunch of angry adults, Bluey will only be successful in the future if it starts to include more trauma in it, because that's what kids want to watch. They want to talk about trauma. That's why I watched cartoons as a kid. I wanted Barney to trauma dump on me. That's why I like that Elmo Twitter thread that went viral a while ago. I want Elmo to trauma dump, not read a bunch of other people trauma dump to Elmo.
Honestly, there were a lot of inadvertently traumatic kids shows, like Caillou or
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Everyone says that. Traumatizing. I don't know if it was intentional. It traumatized me. What else? There are like plenty of SpongeBob episodes that are traumatizing.
But maybe unintentionally, so the better idea would be to not mean to do it.
Yeah, they're trying to introduce kids to the topics of death and infertility and...
Speaking of which, there is not a genocide, I'm not going to go that far. Okay, so a bunch of adult film stars seem to keep dying, and we're going to discuss why. because it's been now 4 over the last some overdose. There's
pretty much 2 months.
Yes, in the last 2 months. Several were overdoses. One was a suicide. Another one is being investigated as a murder. So we're going to get into all of that stuff. We're also going to talk about Gen Z's latest plight, which is a bunch of women are going to ask you to guess their age. And if you're a guy and you've ever been in a relationship with a woman, you understand that, my friends, is a trick question. You're not actually supposed to guess the age you think they are. Some women are going on TikTok and they're asking people to guess their age, and they're getting very upset when people guess the wrong age.
Yes.
Yes.
They're in denial.
Yes. So, we got a bunch of stuff to get into. So if you ladies are ready, we will just go ahead and get started. Mary, are you ready?
Yes. Let's go.
Sarah.
Ready.
She's ready. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. We got some announcements first here, some more important than others. The first one being that the Batman 2 has been delayed
until October 2026. And you know what? They're probably going to delay it again, knowing DC and the way that they operate.
It's crazy because you were right, like you pointed out, like this came out like ages ago.
The original, okay, that's late 2021.
Yeah.
We're waiting 5 years for a sequel. These people are lazy.
Yes.
Work harder.
Wait, what was it late? Was it like late 2022?
No, it was 2021.
So the end of it was
late
like November. It
2021.
was like November of 2021.
This is 5 years for a sequel, and they're only beginning production early next year. This is laziness, folks. I don't care. I don't think that they worked hard on Madam Web. I don't think they're working hard at all. Yep. This says their delay is due to the script being far from complete, and because the studios are refusing to make a fair deal with the writers for months now. And also they said there was a lack of availability for stages, like sound stages. I don't know if that's having to do with the strike either.
Yeah, sounds like cope.
Sounds like my dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, I couldn't book a stage. Yeah.
5 years between a sequel.
I mean, really? Robert Pattinson.
And no one even cared about the original. I mean, I get that it was like, it has the IP. That's why people watched it.
It made close to 800 million.
It wasn't a good movie. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to put that out there. It wasn't good.
I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of it. At least that's personally, and that's sad.
And it made what, 700 million globally?
Close to 800, I think, on the higher end of 700 million.
Not enough for a sequel.
How old is Robert Pattinson going to be in 5 years?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's going to be older.
Or I guess 2 more years.
He's no longer going to be able to be young Bruce Wayne.
He'll be 40.
He looks old.
He'll be 40.
Yeah. Middle-aged Bruce Wayne.
I don't know about that. Don't know how I feel about that.
Knee pain.
I mean, he doesn't look his age. He does look younger than his age, to be fair, but this is just ridiculous.
So we'll have to wait and see. Matt Reeves is going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat on this one. All right, Mary, you're going to have to tell me what the hell this is because I'd never heard of this.
Sarah, had you heard of the children's book, Harold and the Purple Crayon?
I don't think so.
Okay, this was part of my childhood. I did remember it. Basically, it's this child. He has a purple crayon. He draws things, and then they come to life. Mm-hmm. And they're making a movie about it, a live-action movie starring Zachary Levi, because now he's been cornered into the market of adults who play children, I guess. That's what he played in Shazam, a child in an adult body. I guess that's what he's doing in this one. There's no details, just they released the posters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, I like that Zachary Levi does wholesome projects.
I mean,
what else has he done?
I guess this is supposed to be for kids, right?
Correct.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this.
He's 43.
Like, it's just even the most irrelevant IPs are getting recycled and siphoned off for movies right now.
So Robert Pattinson is my age. He's 37.
So when he's promoting the movie, he'll be at least 40.
Yeah, like he's like 30, he'll be 38 in May.
Yeah, and like you said, it's probably going to get delayed again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no one's heard of Harold and the Purple Crayon except for me, apparently. And they're still using this as an IP for a movie?
I had never heard of it.
Why?
Wasn't something I'd ever heard of. Though I do support Zachary Levi doing wholesome entertainment. What's the other one that's coming out with Ryan Reynolds?
The Spy Kids one?
No, oh, that too. But there's what's the Ryan Reynolds movie that's coming out soon that's wholesome looking? If.
Yeah, that movie, does that have Zachary Levi in it?
All I'm saying is, like, I feel like he's kind of the wholesome Ryan Reynolds.
Is Ryan Reynolds not wholesome?
Not really.
No?
I mean, not if you're doing Deadpool and Van Wilder.
Okay, that's fair.
He did the Adam Project, which was wholesome.
Oh, I loved that movie.
It was good, right?
Yeah.
It looks kind of cute, and it's original. It's an original story. At least I think it's...
The Adam Project had Mark Ruffalo, but we won't hold that against them.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. This one, as it's not a part of my childhood, I won't really have anything really to compare it to. I just saw that I've been watching the Roku channel lately, and they're endlessly promoting something called the Spiderwick Chronicles, which had something like a previous version of it come out in like 2009, right? So they didn't even wait 20 years for something like this to come back again. It's coming out on the Roku channel. So all this YA stuff is just it doesn't interest me.
Don't you think they would be doing a live action Charlie Brown?
I never thought of that.
They're going for
who the hell's gonna play Snoopy?
Oh, I mean, I guess they would have to CGI Snoopy and Tweety, right?
Yeah.
Or not Tweety. What's the name of the bird?
So they have to CGI Snoopy. I don't want a CGI dog. I want a real dog.
Well, they already did a CGI Charlie Brown.
That could actually be very cute with a real dog.
Yeah,
it's doable.
They could do that. I mean, it's just like feels like nobody has heard of this story.
It is very random.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of random, this one I actually do think is a clever idea. Arnie is making a movie as Santa, where he's going to be acting alongside Alan Ritchson in a movie called The Man with the Bag. The film follows Santa as his magic bag is stolen, so he turns to the naughty list to find a former thief to help him plan a heist to get it back.
And that thief is Alan Ritchson.
Yes. He just finds the most jacked dude on the naughty list to come and help him out.
I just still find it so funny that you refuse to say his last name.
Yeah.
Whose last name?
I stutter. Arnie.
Oh, Arnie?
Yeah.
You're worried that you're going to say the gamer word?
No, I end up stuttering over it. That too, though.
So does my dad. Imagine having a very thick accent and trying to say that last name.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep. There's a $20 one here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, Brett and Mary, I sense the toxicity of the sludge you've filtered out to keep me pop culture literate has been particularly vile this month. Can I send you hazmat suits? Once again, my thanks, and I hope you both can stay sane.
We're trying.
I was told that, look, my job is, I don't work manual labor, so, my sanity is the small price to pay to keep you sane if you're working like a manual labor job or you're just working a regular job. But the thing is, your name says Pop Culture Junkie, so I assume that you would know all this stuff.
I guess he's the expert. But yeah, today specifically, we were being a little bit unhinged.
Yeah.
We have those days. I mean, at least once a week.
There's more than a few times where for me, it's like it goes in cycles. So I tend to be rather unhinged right before bed. That's when I'm acting at my most ridiculous and stupid. Basically, I get the zoomies before bed, right? And like if I'm like any chance that I'm going to say or do something really, really unhinged, it's going to be around. Like yesterday, I don't say anything controversial on Twitter really ever, but I think at 3 a.m. I tweeted about how Steph Curry wants to run for office, and I was imagining like the 3-point king, drone striking foreign countries. I was like, he would never miss, right? Like, imagine the dude who can hit every 3 shoots, shooting, missiles at Gaza, for instance.
Right. Yeah.
Never miss. But the point is 3 a.m. and then a lot of times, like right before we go live, I start to unravel a little bit. Our
baseline isn't great.
I think
for sanity.
For me, it's a response to the fact that 3 p.m. is like the middle, like the whole reason they made 5-hour energy was like to get you through those couple of hours up until 5.
Slump.
Yeah. So for me, it's like a response to make sure that I'm not half asleep. Like yesterday, I was very like out of it on the show. Some days that happens, but I'd like to think that most days I can kick it out of my system by being my typical unhinged self, which is what I'm like most of the time anyways.
Or drinking 5-hour energy.
I
said grape flavored 5-hour energy is reverse lean.
Or what did the lady say? A sleepy girl mocktail, and it was just lean. It was a lady who put like Sprite and promethazine in a Jolly Rancher, and people were like, yeah, that's just what the rappers drink.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not a sleepy girl mocktail. Mm-hmm. All right. So Matthew Perry from the grave decided to say, fuck them kids. Literally.
Oh, man.
Despite not having any children, Matthew Perry indicated in his will that any children he had were not entitled to an inheritance.
He's like, hey, if you exist, no.
That's kind of mean. I don't know. You never know. Like, how would they do the DNA test, though? I guess they would have to use his parents.
Yeah.
I feel like the parents, like I guess the grandparents then, they would step in, right? They would help.
Yeah, I suppose. And we were even talking about like where his money went because I was curious. I was like, who gets he's making like $20 million a year in residuals.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
turns out it's his parents, his half siblings.
Yeah. Like imagine those kids, they're like in their early 20s and suddenly you're getting like a $3 million check, the taxes you gotta pay on that.
He also gave $1 million or over $1 million to an anonymous person in his will under the name of a character that Woody Allen played.
I like the idea.
Kind of weird, right?
Very
just doing
weird.
it to keep people guessing, like for his legacy.
Is that a little inside joke?
Yeah.
Can you add those in your will?
I like that.
Matthew Perry would.
Keep them guessing.
Yeah.
Guessing. So, I imagine that something like this is actually pretty common.
I guess.
Depends, especially with no kids. He's like, look, I got around. I just gotta make sure.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Like especially rock stars, like
There could be someone out there.
celebrities.
He's like, look, I was
I don't
Chandler.
even
You know how many
remember.
women wanted to have sex with Chandler back in the day?
I thought
Chandler
that
Bing.
Joey was the one all the women were hot
on a
for.
break. Like,
Well, Joey wasn't available.
Yeah.
some of you right now is
Chandler.
saying, Brett, he's not the one who said the line, we were on a break.
It was David Schwimmer, right?
Yes,
yeah.
All right. It's just funny because I was looking into all this. I was like, where does all that money go? But it's kind of sad too. All of that, the family being what it is, like that's still a lot of family members to now not have. They said they stayed pretty close with him, and that they stood by him even with all his addiction issues. So
It was really sad when the paparazzi was like taking pictures of his parents literally like less than 24 hours after outside of his house. Just
Disgusting.
would not want to be like, I wouldn't want to have that job, basically.
Right.
in the chat, somebody says no poll today. The fuck? I said yes. I did want to reiterate, guys. I forgot to close the poll yesterday before the show is over. I did close it. 55% of you say that I am in fact a normie. So
You have to
thank
write
you.
it down to remember.
I wrote it
Blasphemy.
down. It's right there. 55% say that I am in fact a normie.
Do you agree with them, Sarah? Do you think Brett is a normie?
I actually voted in this yesterday, and I said no. Brett is not a normie.
Well, the masses
In my
have spoken, and you are wrong.
Well,
But we
just
know you
personally,
better.
But what do I know?
Somebody says Brett is a fake Friends geek girl. I don't. Oh, yeah. I'm not a geek. I'm not. I don't. I've never seen a single episode of Friends, ever.
Oh,
In my entire. I only know
Ever.
that quote because it has such cultural significance.
yeah.
I've never seen a single episode. I've never
That's
seen.
something to be proud of.
Yeah,
I've never seen a
That's
single
amazing.
episode of Friends,
Especially considering you grew up in like the 90s, right? When it
Yes.
was on TV all the time.
but I had a life. I did things. I went outside.
Yeah.
Those were the good old days.
No, I'm literally saying like I was just like it would have been more something that adults in the '90s would have watched, not people my age. I was
Not like
I
a
was
young skater.
It was pretty raunchy, actually, more than people remember.
I don't remember that because I didn't watch it.
Yeah, obviously.
Somebody will have to tell me whether that's
You're like,
whether
wow,
it's true
I
or
didn't
not.
know that.
I didn't know that. All right,
This
so
is super awkward.
really awkward. Here we go.
Kim Kardashian and Bianca Censori
hanging out.
were both hanging out together at a listening party for Kanye's album,
What do you
Vultures.
think they talk about?
I mean, I don't think they talk. I mean, they're just standing there next to each other, kind of. I don't think they talk.
Just keeping it cordial.
Yeah, I mean, good for them, I guess. I
Kim's-
just don't think that a child should be at this event. It's really inappropriate.
Rap lyrics being what they are, probably not
Yeah.
a bad idea.
I mean, it's like not just for rap music in general, but it is especially graphic. This album is especially graphic. I just don't think that a kid should be listening to that.
So, like, I imagine that Kim's doing her very best not to get caught giving her a side eye, like a really bad side eye that gets photographed and then
I guess
distributed to the tabloids.
does she need the media to think that she is cordial with Kanye, or would it look better for her to not associate with him at all?
Are they still doing like a custody thing, or is that settled?
They share custody. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
She probably has to keep it cordial for the sake of that.
It definitely seems like North has a favorite, and it's Kanye.
Yeah, clearly.
And she posted that really weird drawing of the Vultures album cover with she drew Bianca's bare ass in her diary. Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
That's just, I don't
Bro.
think that kids should be exposed to that.
I'm curious to see how North turns out.
Probably not well.
Like hanging out with Ice Spice.
No,
on
what will
TikTok
happen?
and
What
her-
will happen is they'll get through all the bad stuff early and then settle down into a more normal lifestyle, and one of the other kids will end up being the mess.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, $20 one here from the homeless veteran says, how do I get on so that I can tell people of my experiences overseas where on mission we were engaged by UFO, UAP, and DOD denies it happened. I have orders and receipts being placed on FBI list for teaching gun safety? Question. He's asking as a question. Thank you all. How do you get on where? On IRL? Because that would make more sense on IRL.
Maybe with Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tweet at Shane or Tim. Shane's probably more likely to see it.
Well, I think the fact of the matter is in a lot of these cases, like part of being on one of these shows is that you're kind of expected to have built an audience beforehand. Like if it's very rarely somebody with no like social media or internet platform whatsoever. So I think one of the best things you could start doing is get a camera, put together a background, and maybe start talking about your experiences and making videos about it. Certainly, if you have a lot to say, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of interest in those types of videos, especially. And if you can do that, I think that'd be great.
Also, I hope your username is just a joke.
Let us. I'm assuming that that is true. Well, how would you
otherwise you shouldn't be super chatting us.
Yes, I would now feel like guilt for taking the super chat because I can't not take it. Right.
Yeah.
So. All right, so yeah, well, let's hope North turns out okay. That would be good. Okay, so we talked about yesterday, we talked about the start of Gamergate 2 and everything to do with Sweet Baby Inc., which would be a whole lot to recap today, but there will be more about this in either tomorrow or the day after, perhaps on Friday with Valiant Renegade. James Lindsay got into this discussion a lot of what's going on with Gamergate 2. But Vara Dark, she had on the person who created the Sweet Baby Inc. detected curation group on Steam and said that the video was instantly demonetized. So that tells you that they're all kind of coordinating behind the scenes to make sure that this stuff doesn't get discussed in the context they want it to be discussed.
Seems like just the words Sweet Baby Inc. In the title of any YouTube video is going to get it flagged. Yeah. And that would...
We didn't have it in ours.
Yeah, that would make sense because YouTube took the side of, the Anita Sarkeesians and Brianna Wu's and Zoe Quinn's back in the original Gamergate. That's when the conversation about YouTube censorship really started booming.
I think I did end up, for like the first time ever since we started uploading videos, I tagged Sweet Baby Inc. in Gamergate 2 in the description.
Okay.
Like I never use hashtags in the description, but I was like, we didn't have either of these terms, or we didn't have Sweet Baby Inc. listed in the video title. Maybe I'll add the hashtag. I have no idea if that actually does any good.
Maybe we should tag our videos more.
I don't know. Yeah, I
never thought about that.
Look, it's whether that works or not. We got a $20 one here from Pat the Plumber. Says, how do I get on to tell the story of the time I found 7 toothbrushes in one clogged drain?
Oh, okay. So you... how does that happen?
I was about to say, what does he do for a living? And then I looked.
Well, he's a plumber.
That makes perfect sense. Pat,
it's not just a metaphor.
Pat, what that means is that Ben Shapiro wants you to work till you're he wants you to plumb until you are 100 years old. He just wants you to plumb forever and then die. That's what he wants.
Yep, exactly.
And the sad thing is what he actually wants is for you to listen to him podcasting
while you're plumbing.
While you're plumbing till you're 100 years old and then die.
And you have a heart attack as you're plumbing.
Is this like somebody who thinks that when you're done with a toothbrush, you should just flush it down the toilet instead of throwing it in the trash? Is that what they were doing for years?
What I do with batteries, they said, how do you dispose of batteries? I just throw them in the toilet and flush the toilet.
Bruh.
I heard that's great for the environment.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. So we're gonna keep an eye on Gamergate 2, and we're gonna talk about more of it on Friday as this story continues to develop. All right.
This is insane.
A lot of people who watch this show are my age. Our demographics bear this out. Austin St. John. He is the Red Power Ranger from the original Power Rangers. He is releasing a clothing line featuring quotes from warriors on all sides of history, and Hitler will be featured. He makes a point of saying that Hitler will be featured.
Now, hold on. Let's hear him out.
Here we go, guys.
So I have some Ranger-oriented clothes, and then I'm building a warrior line where I will go back in history, from pre-Greek days as far back as I can. I'm going to have famous quotes from warriors of all ilks, including the terrible ones. Wow. Hitler was, a demon on steroids, but he had some pretty good one-liners. You know, so everybody from
I mean, that's a good one.
the great ones to the infamous and terrible ones. And I'm going to have quotes in their languages put up in Japanese, English, Russian, Greek, whatever it was.
Wow.
And then in English.
Wow.
And I'm going to have some
I didn't know that.
katakana done and some various other artwork. But the point is to look to our past, to leaders, both good and terrible, and take from them what you can. I mean, Bruce Lee's going to be in there. Chuck Norris, who's one of my guys that I looked up to. So I'm
He's
building.
a nice guy too.
He's incredible. He's an
They're like,
incredible.
he's the opposite
I don't
of Hitler.
think that Chuck Norris would want to be listed with Hitler in any context.
Right now, I'm picturing like it's a shirt with
greats.
quotes all over the shirt.
The
And everyone's clamoring to make sure they're not the quote right next to Hitler.
And I love how the interviewers are like, go on, say more. Wait, so there is more.
Yes.
Guy. One of the last real gentlemen out there.
Yeah.
So those I just started releasing. There's a few on there, and you'll see it. It's in kanji, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it can be Chinese. It can be any Eastern Asian writing, and I'm sure I'm going to get corrected on this too. But I don't write in the stuff. I just pay people to do it better than I can. So there's going to be cool translations, and that's the warrior line I'm going to continue to build out.
I mean, I wouldn't really call Hitler a warrior.
He's like, say what you will about Hitler, but he definitely had some good one-liners.
It's not the evil dictator with great one-liners line.
And all this time we were worried about the white Power Ranger.
Yeah.
It is funny that the black Power Ranger was actually black.
The Yellow Ranger was Asian.
And the Yellow Ranger was
Yeah.
Asian. Is that intentional?
They changed it after the original series and
yeah.
swapped
Was
it.
that
Yeah.
intentional though?
I
It seems like it can't not be. You know?
I- very 90s thing.
I would say without malice.
Yes.
Like literally
Definitely.
without malice. Like they're like, oh, it's indicative of there's like literally.
Yeah.
Like and they didn't think about it as
Right.
something bad.
Right.
And then somebody like a couple years later is like, guys, you can't do that. Like you can't. I'm sorry.
And that was when wokeness began.
It really was.
That was when wokeness
there's-
ruined entertainment.
There's also, and I'm sure there's some Power Ranger super fans in the chat. Obviously, that went on to be a very popular franchise over several mediums. But from what I understand, the Blue Ranger, who was gay, Dave Yost or whatever, like he got bullied for being gay. I think on set they would say so. You
But,
know,
like,
and
is it
the original
bullied or,
Yellow
you
Ranger
know?
died in a car accident and was replaced
I
after the
remember
first
that.
season.
Oh.
I remember that.
Yep.
That was a big deal.
Yep. And if you were wondering, yes, the Pink Ranger has something to say about this. Every boy who's my age's first crush did say that this is probably not a good idea.
She said, I think some people should have publicists. Dear me.
She's right. You know,
I don't know. I mean, let him cook.
we'll have to wait and see. Like, what he should do is he should sell them the shirts as individual quotes and then release sales numbers. How much does the Hitler shirt actually sell? You know,
Who's gonna buy that one?
no one's gonna buy that, right? Nobody in their right mind buys that shirt.
No.
No.
No, they don't.
All right. Okay. All right, Mary, you're going to have to tell everybody what the hell's going on with Kristen Stewart. Because this is, we seemingly covered this
Yes.
story, at least this magazine cover, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Kristen Stewart is on the press circuit right now because she is promoting a movie called Love Lies Bleeding. And if you didn't know, it's about lesbian bodybuilders, in case that piques anyone's interest.
Go on.
She's on the Stephen Colbert show promoting this movie, and he decides to bring up her recent Rolling Stone cover that we covered on the show because, you know, it's definitely not what you would consider traditionally feminine or beautiful or pleasing to the eye. She was shirtless in this leather vest, wearing a jock strap and grabbing her crotch with this greasy mullet haircut, and you know, it just wasn't the vibe. It didn't look good, and it's the celebration of ugliness, which we often talk about. So he brought this up because producers at CBS reportedly told him not to show it on air. I wonder why. So here's what he said. Now, before I show this cover, I just want you to know, and the audience to know, that I think it's a perfectly lovely cover. We were asked by CBS not to show it. They thought that would not be a good idea for us to show this, and I don't understand why. Because there's the cover right there. I want to say that you look better in a jockstrap than I ever did. Thank you, guys.
Did they explain why it was a bad idea? Why they thought it was a bad idea?
They probably explained it to him, but he didn't feel like giving the explanation.
He didn't want to share.
But it must have been that it's, NSFW and also ugly, and people don't want to see that. But he decided to heap praise on it. And Kristen Stewart took this as an opportunity to clap back at the haters and the backlash and essentially say, if you don't like this magazine cover, if you don't think I'm attractive in it, then you're a sexist and a homophobe. So here's what she said. She pointed toward a societal double standard. Well, it's a little ironic because I feel like I've seen a lot of male pubic hair on the cover of things. I've seen a lot of hands in pants and unbuttoned. I think there's a certain overt acknowledgement of a female sexuality that has its own volition in a way that is annoying for people who are sexist and homophobic. I've certainly seen more revealing covers on Rolling Stone or Sports Illustrated for that matter. It's not remotely explicit. I think it also violates public expectations of female sexuality as opposed to how you're presenting it here. Kristen Stewart continued, yes, because female sexuality isn't supposed to actually want anything but to be had, and that feels like it's protruding in a way that might be annoying, but F you. So if you don't like the magazine cover, that's a resounding F you. She is just giving everyone the middle finger. She also addressed this backlash at a recent press conference for the movie. It was brought up, she said, the existence of a female body thrusting any type of sexuality at you that's not designed exclusively for straight males is something people are not super comfy with. So I'm really happy about it. And she said she enjoyed breaking with traditional stereotypes about what it means to be feminine.
When was the last time Hollywood, I guess Sydney Sweeney is the last time Hollywood decided to just show actual traditional femininity?
I mean, you look at most magazine covers that are made for women and you'll see beautiful women on them. Mm-hmm. You know, that is the majority, I'll grant that.
And she's saying lesbians don't like beautiful women either.
Right,
which is a blanket statement that I don't think is true.
If lesbians are attracted to women, why wouldn't they be attracted to femininity?
Right.
I'm not going to get into my weird theories about that because, I might get in trouble on YouTube, but it's just interesting that there is this concerted effort to celebrate ugliness and unsightliness in the public eye. Mm-hmm. Especially from someone who's so attractive. Like she is so beautiful. She could be regarded as one of the most beautiful actresses right now, but she chooses to do everything in her power to counteract that.
Yeah, it's wild. She tries so hard to make herself ugly and she is still beautiful.
Like she can't even help herself.
But
I guess the point of the cover, though, is to not be beautiful, which is,
But also it's supposed to be sexy.
Yes.
Like, who thought that?
It's supposed to not be beautiful and you're supposed to like it.
Right. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
The point of creating
something what we tell you to like.
I feel like the point of creating something that's intentionally not supposed to be beautiful is actually to produce the opposite reaction and then discuss it. But now they're saying we've produced the opposite reaction and we're discussing it by telling you that reaction is wrong, which makes no sense.
There are plenty of ways to show someone looking traditionally feminine without it being overly sexualized. But I guess the point of this was to be as raunchy as possible. She said, it's okay to take different pictures and mix them up in a way that people aren't used to. And that's okay too. In fact, it's pervasive and it's everywhere and it's being denied. And it's crazy that there aren't more pictures like that. I loved the opportunity. Nothing she's saying here makes sense. She's just like kind of stupid and not able to formulate a sentence about defending her decision.
Like me.
Like, what does this mean? It's pervasive, it's everywhere, and it's being denied, and it's crazy. What?
I don't know.
She has been in Hollywood for too long. I think people forget she was a child star.
She was. Yeah, and maybe that's why she's so messed up and can't, see herself with a cohesive self-image. She wants to fight the idea that she's valued for her looks.
So what is everywhere? Like, I'm literally confused. What the hell is everywhere?
I think she wants to say, if I had to guess, she wants to say that traditionally feminine women are shown everywhere for the male gaze. So we need to turn the tables and show women who are attractive to lesbians.
Okay. Whatever.
Apparently that was the goal.
Whatever.
Got it.
You know.
I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but I'm just saying if I had to guess, that might have been what she meant.
All right. You know.
Just so you know, Brett.
You, I guess.
This is like you yesterday when you're like, is my total lack of interest in what you're doing also violence? Is my total ambivalence to your social cause also violence and bigotry? Then call me a bigot, why don't you?
To be fair, like if she was producing magazine covers that were like highly attractive, I wouldn't care either because she's not relevant anymore. Not really.
I think she's becoming less relevant by choice because she's doing vanity projects that all focus on her queer identity instead of her just playing a role that isn't related to her personal life, you know? Like, you could play any character. That's the point of acting. You're pretending to be somebody else. Just because you are gay in real life, it doesn't mean that you have to play gay characters. But I guess representation matters and all that jazz.
Because then if they had a straight character play a gay character, people are upset.
Everyone would lose their minds, yes.
That one, I feel like, maybe it's just because it's been a while since we've had that discourse, but I feel like that one gets ignored more nowadays. Like, when was the last time we had a discussion about that?
About representation?
No, about like a straight character playing a gay character. Maybe somebody.
It doesn't come up all that often because most of the conversations are about trans representation now because the Overton window is shifting.
Yeah.
But as far as Kristen Stewart, I mean, I think that it would be perfectly fine for her to play traditionally feminine women. I mean, she did play Princess Diana, right? So.
I have no problem with her playing all those. I mean, you'd think as an actress she would want to do that. Like maybe the idea is she doesn't want to challenge herself.
Also, flat out, I don't buy the idea that she's gay. Okay, she can go around telling everyone that she's gay, but you had affairs with like 3 different men.
Right.
So
That just
I
proves
don't
that
think
just
that
proves that
you
she's
are. Oh, it does?
Just like remember,
That's proof that she's
remember,
gay.
remember
Okay.
when
In the upside down one.
Remember when they were talking about during COVID that one of the symptoms of COVID was like not getting COVID? Or
Oh, yeah.
like that's how you know it's working. It's like it's just don't think about it too hard. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's. But that's really the truth, right? It's all surface level. Like
She was with Robert Pattinson. Then she cheated on Robert Pattinson with another man. Okay. Then she had an affair with the married male director of Snow White and the Huntsman. I think that you might be attracted to men, Kristen. You're going to great lengths to be with men.
and it's weird because now I'm like, maybe she's like, I feel creepy even having this discussion about somebody else's personal life.
But she's shoving it in everyone's face.
They're making it public.
She literally has her hand down her pants on the cover of a magazine.
And don't talk about my sexuality.
And I'm like,
come on.
And I'm over here like, I would love nothing more than to not have to talk about your. Like Mary's like, we should talk about this. I'm like,
let's dissect.
Do we really have to talk about this? Okay. Let's talk about it. I want to know if they washed the jockstrap after. That's what I want to know. What did they do with it?
She doesn't look
If
like
that went back to a props department, I demand they wash it. That's what I want.
It was hers. Don't worry.
Okay, she brought it with her. Also, I feel like more than anything, it's she has like a total disregard for doing her hair in a way that makes her look good. That's the real problem.
It looks like she had a mentee bee and then went to the bathroom mirror and just like took her bangs and just cut it right straight across with the kitchen scissors.
I thought it looked like she put Crisco and peanut butter.
Yeah, then she put chicken fat all over
greasy.
it. And then she went on Stephen Colbert.
She's always touching it.
Yeah, it clearly makes her uncomfortable. I think that she's uncomfortable with being beautiful and regarded as such.
Yeah.
Something
Comfortable with herself.
Something about like being a child star must have messed her up and had her, go on with a warped view of men and of relationships.
Well, that's just sad. That's just sad.
Isn't it? Awful sad.
All right, guys. We have cute and we have cringe of the day. Mary's excited about the cringe today, so I think we should do that first.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and look at the cringe of the day. Which one?
This caused me physical pain.
Are we watching this one first, Mary? This one here?
Yes.
Okay, here we go, guys. I have not seen this. Sarah has not seen this. Mary's very excited about it, so let's watch.
It's really funny that I dress like this and give off like a tough sort of thing going on. And then I cry to Phoebe Bridgers in the shower, and I listen to C Rose and Boy Genius, and the dichotomy is crazy.
I could have predicted.
It's really funny that I dress like this and give off like.
Why would you admit that?
so that girls on TikTok were like him.
Oh.
I got a.
It's just like everyone was clowning on this dude because you obviously look like the antithesis of tough.
I got a question.
You do in fact look like a guy who cries in the shower.
Gentlemen, keys clipped to the front band or to the back waistband? That's the real question. Do you put it, in the back left or the back right, or do you put it in the front, by the thigh?
I think it's trendy to put them in the front and also wear chains on your belt loops.
Oh gosh! And then there's one more you said.
Yeah, the same guy. Still looking for that.
Again, he looks like a dude who makes artisanal pickles for a living. He does.
Love that.
And he drinks nothing but IPA.
Oh yeah.
There's
he likes some super hoppy.
Yeah. Lives in Pittsburgh.
I think he lives in Portland.
Vegan.
That seems too.
He likes oat milk in his latte.
Soy.
Here we go.
Soy.
She wasn't that sad. I just had to get my nails done. No, I've never had this done before. I feel pretty. Look at this. Shout out my nail tech. Turns out I actually wasn't that sad. I just had to get my nails done. No, I've never had this done before. I feel pretty. Look at this. Shout out my nail tech.
I just don't want to hear men
like
saying that they feel pretty.
Kristen Stewart in reverse.
Right.
He swears he's straight, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All signs point to no.
It's weird because the effeminate guys are the ones that are like searching for the most female attention online.
And I feel like they get it.
Yeah,
love it.
and it's working.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in everyone involved in this situation.
Okay, well let's clear this up with cute of the day. Let's palate cleanser here, ladies and gents. This is from Steve. Says our kid's dog named Link after Zelda and Fluffy Cat because he's a chonky boy.
Aww, look at those ears. Cute.
Gosh.
The cat's like, stop.
The cat looks huge.
The cat is bigger.
Oh my god.
So cute.
I love
See,
the
Brett,
name.
Dogs in clothes.
No.
You gotta accept that it's cute.
No clothes, no hats for pets. They have soul. I guess Seamus would disagree. If they have a soul, I can't prove that. They have dignity, and you're destroying their dignity by putting them in clothes against their will.
He looks so cute in a bow tie.
Maybe he doesn't want to look cute. Did you ever think about that? Maybe he wants to look fierce.
It's not a choice, okay?
Ferocious.
That instantly recovered me from my ick.
Let's do one more here. This is
very
from
cute
Emil.
puppy.
Says, Princess Buttercup tearing up her chair in my office. She sends her condolences to the whole Timcast family for their loss. It's a gift.
Thank you. Is that Princess Buttercup from Princess Bride?
Look at it. It's very.
After?
Must be.
She.
Cats just hate furniture, man.
They do.
It's like their number one enemy.
Now, like Chloe, I literally there's a cat that I just there's a cat on me every day.
That's how they show ownership.
Every day.
You know that, right?
It's like you have become chair. Deal with it.
You are mine.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then. Shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Shall we? We are now 44 minutes. We're making good time today. It's not even 50 minutes in. Mary, tell us what's going on with In-N-Out.
Yeah, so
In-N-Out. Inside Out.
it's not In-N-Out. It's not the fast food chain In-N-Out.
Now
it's
I'm
a
hungry.
movie. Okay. Pixar is releasing the sequel to Inside Out. Inside Out 2 is going to focus on the protagonist, Riley, as she hits puberty and goes into middle school. And they're introducing some new emotions. So if you're unfamiliar, the original Inside Out, it's based on this girl who's like, I guess 10 or 11, and it shows the inside of her brain and her emotions personified as their own characters. So she had joy, sadness, disgust, and anger, these very simple and childlike emotions. So the aim for this sequel is to show the more complex emotions that arise when you start to grow up and become a young adult. So they've added some new ones, such as envy,
Self-loathing.
Yes, voiced by Ayo Edebiri. They also have ennui, which is just, I didn't know this, but dissatisfaction, listlessness, and boredom. They added embarrassment as well. And these are growing the cast of all of her emotions that run this control panel in her brain. And they look at all of the things she's experiencing third person view. But immediately I knew that when this movie was announced, people were going to instantly start politicizing it and wanting this protagonist to start encountering sexuality, and they wanted this movie to heavily focus on sexual identity. And they want this protagonist, Riley, to come out as a lesbian in the sequel, which is really weird, you know, for adults to have this intense interest in seeing a child character be gay. Why are you so concerned with a fictional child being gay? Or why are you so concerned with the children who are watching this movie as the target demographic being exposed to those ideas? And then they make fun of us for saying that there is such a thing as a gay agenda. I mean, it's right here in front of our faces. Now, this is just rumors, okay? But Pixar released some new photos of the characters, and they show this character who goes to her school, Val Ortiz, a high school hockey player who everyone, including Riley and her friends, looks up to. And Val Ortiz, she has colored hair. They show this team of girls that are on the hockey team. And instantly I saw tweets saying, her new emotion is lesbianism. They really want this 13-year-old character in a Disney movie to be a lesbian. It's really weird. It's really off-putting to me that this is their agenda. And also I saw someone say, if they had a really emotional scene of Riley, the protagonist, coming out to her parents and them accepting her, that would legit do so much good for an entire generation of kids who are scared to leave the closet.
How?
I mean, in this generation, right, Gen Alpha, would they be scared to leave the closet when they're shown they will get universal praise and affirmation from adults for doing so? I don't even think that's a concern for them. That's unfortunate, obviously,
right.
But...
And even if it is a concern for some, that argument is total bull. How would a movie fix that situation?
Oh, because representation matters, and we can use media to manipulate children and indoctrinate them. That's why it matters. But I'm just saying, like, why are you, as an adult, by the way, who has the trans pride flag in username, why are you, as an adult, so concerned with children confronting their sexuality? That's just downright pedophilic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's really creepy. But yeah, also I saw a bunch of people saying, you know, they should have a new character in her emotions for horniness. Like, you're straight up
so
just
weird.
a bunch of PDF files, aren't you? They're not even hiding it anymore. They have no shame.
Well,
they're just
like
broadcasting it all over the place.
these people too have like binded together on the internet, but that's not really a normal emotion to feel when you're so young. So I think these people don't realize, like, you were the exception to the rule. And possibly, I hope not, but maybe something traumatic happened in their childhood or whatever, and then they grow up and they're like, oh, we should instill horniness and all these other sexual feelings in these like middle school kids because that is real and that's a real experience, but it's not the average experience for most kids that are healthy.
Even if you could argue that this is a normal experience during puberty, okay, that doesn't mean it's appropriate to insert themes like that into a movie for children.
Right.
Like, point blank, period. Like, that's not appropriate. And Pixar has been doing this. Like, the movie Turning Red, this is the personification, this big red panda. This is the personification of a girl's period, right? Why do we need that type of propaganda being aimed at children? You know? And
Yeah.
then, Brett, you sent me this story about Jessica Biel. She plans to publish a kid's book about periods because, quote, we need to normalize the discussion.
I don't know what that means.
We don't need to normalize anything. And it's literally titled A Kid's Book About Periods by Jessica Biel. Why? Why?
A lot of these discussions are things that should happen in the privacy of people's own homes. To assert that it needs to be done through a Pixar movie or, I mean, I guess a book is okay, but like a Disney or Pixar movie, it's like a total BS point, and it doesn't actually help children in any way, at least in my opinion. I mean, maybe a few here or there, but I don't think it does like a greater good.
Right. I mean, sex education as a whole is a total psyop, but that's another conversation that people aren't ready to have. But the thing is, Disney wants to be the parent. They want to subvert the role of parents and subvert the family in doing so with the content that they're making. Whereas they just mentioned, Bob Iger in a recent interview said that Disney needs to focus on storytelling instead of social messaging. Okay, how's that working out for you? This is the next movie you're putting out? And by the way,
to be fair, this would have been made before those statements were made.
Sure. Okay, fine.
Not that I believe it's that coming out, of course, will happen.
The movie is coming out in June, okay, in Pride Month. What are your predictions for Pride Month this year? Is the vibe shifting around Pride Month?
I just saw something that said that support for same-sex marriage is like lowered for the first time since like the 90s or something like that. Like,
it's this type of overreach and overstepping of boundaries that should be obvious. That's the reason why that's happening, and it's a good thing that they're showing their true intentions, in my opinion.
I think the real tragedy is like the death of like nuanced storytelling. I keep seeing these discussions going on about the X-Men 97 creator leaving the show, and it eventually comes back to the discussion about, are the X-Men an allegory for marginalized groups? And what I really miss was the idea, which eventually comes back to minority groups and people who identify as LGBTQIA+. But what I miss was when it was possible for Hollywood storytelling to talk about feeling disenfranchised as something more than just something tied to your identity, right? Like the idea of somebody feeling disenfranchised used to just be analogous to being a teenager, because teenagers oftentimes feel like they don't fit in anywhere, and it doesn't have to be anything to do with your identity. It doesn't have to be anything to do with your sexuality. You can sometimes feel very much like an outsider in a world full of people who look and identify exactly like you. And there was a greater point to that type of storytelling. It reached a greater segment of the population. And I think that's the real, like, beyond the, whatever you want to talk about, the social ramifications of these things and them overstepping their bounds, I think the real tragedy is the death of true nuanced storytelling that was able to reach more than just a very small segment of the population.
I also forgot to mention another new emotion that they're introducing is anxiety, and it's voiced by Maya Hawke, the Nepo daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. And I also feel like this is overstepping a boundary, even though it doesn't step into conversations about sexuality and politics. The idea of mental health awareness has done such a number on this younger generation. I think it's been proven by now that hyper-focusing on children's emotions, whether they're positive or negative, and showing them that adults are going to overanalyze and pay intense attention to all of your emotions, even though they're just passing, fleeting things, that's actually having a negative effect on their emotional regulation capabilities.
Totally.
It's making them more mentally ill that we are constantly talking about mental health awareness.
Yes.
Because with all of the conversations about mental health, we're never actually talking about mental health. We're talking about mental illness. That's what we're talking about. Yep. We're not talking about anything positive. It's just, here's how you can be special for having something wrong with you neurochemically. It's just weird. And they also introduce this incrementally so you don't notice it. Like in the Lightyear movie, they had that same-sex kiss in the Lightyear movie that was like blink and you miss it. And then also in Strange World, that wasn't a Pixar movie, that was a Disney movie. But they had the protagonist in that movie, who is a teenager, be gay. And, you don't just randomly make these decisions. They've already openly admitted that they do this on purpose. In the Reimagine Tomorrow conference, they said, I am pushing a gay agenda on Disney content. I am trying to put as many gay characters in Disney content for kids as possible. And I guess we're the bad guys for just noticing it and pointing it out.
Same with Bluey, right?
Right. I also wanted to bring up another Disney property. This is Bluey. You might have seen it on Disney Plus. If you have kids, they're loving this show. Millions of people are watching this show. And from what I've seen, this is relatively wholesome, not sinister. But here's what's interesting. It looks like adults are starting to like Bluey more than kids, who are the target audience for Bluey, because they like that it addresses traumatic subjects for children. This says Bluey's identity as a show is that it isn't afraid to go there and tackle challenging subjects like divorce, loneliness, and death, because too many shows are afraid to treat kids like thinking and feeling viewers. The series has utilized that element to the fullest extent, and the creators are more than well aware. This says that Bluey essentially wouldn't be as successful or popular if they didn't rely on themes of trauma. And I guess that's also taking the role of the parent, is that this TV show is going to have hard conversations with my kids so that I don't have to. Yeah. They have episodes that have a metaphor for divorce disguised as rugby teams. They have discussions about premature birth in another episode, and another episode talks about the aftermath of infant loss. So they're saying this is the show maturing with its audience. Don't know if that's true, but basically they're saying that parents like this show because it does their job for them, and they get to feel like they're also children when they watch it. A new report from Huffington Post says, Bluey is my favorite comfort show, Bluey is the comfort show I didn't know I needed. And it's written by Marilyn LaJanice. She is a childless 29-year-old woman who watches Bluey. And I would understand, like, if you're a parent and you play this show for your kids and you watch along and you think, hey, it's not so bad. Mm-hmm. But she actually watches this show because she says it helps her connect with her inner child and heal wounds of her inner child. And they also got some thoughts and insights from a psychologist named Dr. Tamara Souls, who shows just what kind of impact this comfort show has on viewers, apart from making them better parents. Watching adult characters in children's shows allows them to have a corrective experience. They may not have had adults who are as emotionally attuned as many of the adults in children's shows. Exploring themes such as a wide range of emotions, children's shows often validate your emotional experiences and provide a way for so many of us as adults to be seen and to reflect our own emotional responses. Particularly for adults who are strongly emotionally impacted by the myriad of atrocities around the world, watching a children's show with a clear morale and ethically guided adults can be a healing respite for many. Watching high-quality children's programming is like entering a world that feels calm and simple. So I guess they're basically age regressing to watch the shows that their kids are supposed to watch.
I get the idea. Look, I have no problem with the concept of comfort shows. I think everybody has those shows that they put on. Usually it's not a comfort show because of the age demographic. Usually it's a comfort show because you've watched the whole thing before, and rewatching it is kind of healing because you know it's going to happen. And in a world where things are unpredictable, the idea that you can watch something, know what's going to happen is actually quite helpful. I have a lot of shows that are like that I maintain that one of my favorite things is restarting a show that I've seen multiple times that has a lot of seasons, because it feels like you're going back on an adventure with these characters that you've come to know and love. Now, for me, none of those shows are kids shows. So I get what she's saying.
They're changing the definition of what a comfort show is.
Yes, I get what she's saying. But, at the same time, this is very, very common, aren't we? We talk all the time about how... I just saw the story today about the Minecraft guy who's getting Me Too'd for saying sexual stuff to a girl who's 3 months old, who's 18, and the girl was 18, and she was 3 months older than him. And we are becoming permanently children.
It's grooming.
They were calling it grooming for saying something like that. My point is that people are age regressing and trying to claim childhood well into their 20s, right?
Or 30s or 40s or longer than that.
Yeah. So like
this also says they have a character named Jack, an excitable and easily distracted Jack Russell Terrier who is used to represent individuals with ADHD or other neuroatypical conditions.
I feel so seen.
Another one, it's heavily implied that a character named Aunt Brandy, is coping with infertility in another episode. And their father, Bandit, is struggling with depression. Is this really necessary?
That's so
for a kids show?
Intense.
It really is. I don't know if the kids are picking up on it or this is specifically targeting the adult audience.
Right. Do they say it or is it insinuated?
I've never watched Bluey. I'm not one of these weirdos who watches Bluey as an adult comfort show, so I don't know the details, but that's what they say, is that it's intentional and the creators are well aware that this is what they're doing.
I mean, to them, that's just a demographic shift for the show, right? Like, we used to make it for kids, but the kids will age out. Now, kids shows usually don't have to worry about that as much, right? It's very different for a show where the audience ages with them. But for kids shows, they can just kind of hope that the next generation gets to watching. Barney affected many. He scared many a kids from many generations.
Here's a quote from a screenwriter that was interviewed by Huffington Post. She says that she started watching Bluey during a time in her life when she was doing a lot of inner child work. Quote, my first impression was this deep, almost grief that settled in my stomach as I contemplated just how different my life would have been had I grown up with this show. She describes the show as a form of gentle parenting where the parents teach their children how to have fun, how to self-regulate and communicate their emotions. Quote, here I was in my 20s learning to do things that my parents had never even bothered to teach me or acknowledge by 4 Australian cartoon dogs.
Okay, what were the dogs teaching her?
How to have fun and how to self-regulate and communicate your emotions. I feel like by the time you're 20 or 30, you should know these things. But she's going to blame her parents, not herself.
Right.
And also, she said she's doing inner child work, which sounds like she's doing psychoanalytic therapy.
Sounds very medicalized.
It sounds like you're making a problem that doesn't exist. It sounds like you're problematizing normal emotional experiences. And I recently saw Matt Walsh getting dragged on Twitter for saying this, that a lot of people think that they have depression or some other mental illness, when in reality that's just, suffering and turmoil. It's a normal aspect of life, and you ebb and flow. You go through highs and lows in life, and those are situations that you respond to emotionally. It doesn't need to be a problem that you bring to a psychologist. You don't need to be medicated for it. These are normal things, and normalizing those experiences wouldn't look like enriching the pharma industry. Normalizing those things would be talking about that. These are normal experiences. You don't need to analyze yourself to death and start taking SSRIs for it.
It's the Bluey to Big Pharma pipeline.
Seriously, it's happening in real time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will watch Powerpuff Girls sometimes. I do babysit a 3-year-old girl from time to time, so I will watch it with her. But nobody has a perfect childhood. It's literally how you choose to look back on it, right? Just like your present day life. Nobody's life is perfect all the time. It's all about how you choose to view it. And if you're told you have anxiety constantly, I always hear this term of releasing trauma. Release trauma. You can't release trauma. I'm sorry.
Remember the video?
We've over psychoanalyzed everything.
Remember the video about the lady saying that twerking releases trauma through the hips?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Just bizarre. Everything is trauma now. Sometimes it's not trauma, or sometimes it is trauma, and by experiencing that, you just need to learn how to move past it. And
my childhood
there are truly traumatic things that can happen to you.
Nothing bad has ever happened to me.
Giving too much focus to everything bad that has ever happened to you, or everything bad that you've ever done, is not a good thing for your quote unquote mental health.
I'm lucky. Like I said, nothing bad has ever happened to me. My life has been perfect from the moment I was born. So I can't really, I don't feel very represented.
You're like, I'm just built different. So
it's not easy, you know, having such a perfect existence.
In fact, it's traumatic that other people don't understand.
The whole reason I got addicted to drugs was so that I could put something traumatic in my life because I felt empty.
Oh my God.
Right.
That was what it was.
I feel like you're twisting my words so badly.
I was like, you know what? I need some trauma in my life.
No, there is definitely truly traumatic experiences. I'm just saying it's been overused so much. Do you feel like you've held the trauma in your body, Brett?
Do you need to twerk it out?
No, what it is I snorted the trauma. That's what I did.
Oh,
back in the day, because I needed to find the fastest way to like the just the center of my brain.
They didn't have Bluey back then.
Yeah, without Bluey, I decided to go for stimulants.
$20 from Nate. I watch Bluey with my kids. They love it. The other themes are certainly there. It's done in a way that speaks to the adults separately. I don't have Twitter, but these people you're reading about seem like, quote, Disney adults. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're co-opting children's entertainment for their own and not letting kids enjoy it in the process.
So is the goal here to so you go to Bluey, you process the childhood trauma, then you go to Taylor Swift and you process the young adult trauma, and then you go to, I don't know, who's after that? Who's after you process the young adult trauma? Who do you process the adult trauma with?
CNN.
No,
I said CNN.
Oh, okay. CNN. Okay. Yeah, well, there is the meme like every Swifty's biggest trauma in life is breaking up with their high school boyfriend. Yeah. And thinking they're the only person who's ever gone through that. Let's go to Super Chats, though. Shane H. Wilder said, Happy Wednesday, Brett, Mary, and Sarah. I scoured the internet for proof that Brett is abnormy and will be releasing memographic evidence tomorrow. Is it memographic or memographic?
I think memographic sounds better. Mammographic is something completely different.
Well, that's not what it's called, Brett, but thank you for your input.
Happy to help.
Andrew Jacobs said, Hi, Mary. Are you a fan of Angie Harmon? She's super based, and I think she'd be a great PCC guest. Hi, Brett. Thoughts on Law & Order SVU? R.I.P. Bocus. Yes, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Angie Harmon was the star of Rizzoli and Isles and the far underrated masterpiece Baywatch Nights with David Hasselhoff.
Is she based?
She's she's like an open. I mean, I don't know if she has social media or anything, but she's got she was married to Jason Sehorn, the pro football player. She's an open Republican, like her whole adult career, as far as I know, and is very much like that. It's funny because she was in the show Rizzoli and Isles, which if you like, it's just two women best friends who are like really good best friends, and now they would not be allowed to just be really good best friends, you know. Mm-hmm. And as for the question to me, I don't give a crap about Law & Order SVU. Law & Order Criminal Intent all the way.
Wow. Trick.
I don't know if I've ever seen a single episode of Law & Order SVU. I have, however, seen just about every episode of Law & Order Criminal Intent. Vincent D'Onofrio, you know, far superior.
What is it about SVU that just triggers you so much?
It doesn't. I just don't care. I just I was never interested in it.
Cool. Fair enough.
I have seen the clip about the guy, you know, the guy who says like, where Ice-T goes, I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Is that SVU?
That's probably SVU. I assume that's from SVU. But yes.
Bucky Ducky said, Happy Monday, Bert and Murray. Happy Monday. Shane H. Wilder said, also, I just saw that Olivia Rodrigo is giving out Plan B at her concerts. Between that and her sorry excuse for screaming, she has become peak cringe.
More on that tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll cover that tomorrow. She has been a total psyop since the beginning of her career after Disney. I think they started her young. I remember the first time people started talking about her was when she visited the White House to promote vaccines. She's been doing this stuff, so that's nothing new.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on with all the adult film stars.
It seems like in only the past couple of months, several porn stars have died at young ages, and it's really tragic. And I think that we need to ask why There are plenty of obvious answers, but first I just want to go through some examples. Most recently, it was announced only a few days ago that adult star Sophia Leone was found unresponsive in her room and pronounced dead at only 26 years old. And interestingly, this is now being investigated as a possible murder, according to her modeling agency. They tweeted, "To be clear, Sophia's death is being investigated as a robbery and a homicide. We're going to take time off social media because this is difficult, but we do appreciate seeing the stories from people who knew her. We all agree she was a sweetheart, kind, and gentle. We all love her."
We got a $50 super chat here from No Diggity 24/7 says, "Hello, crisis actors. I super chat to my favorite podcast because it's my birthday. 45 years and grateful for every one of them, no matter what has happened along the way. Here's to many, many more. Let's go!"
Love the energy. And happy birthday.
Happy birthday, my friends. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, but thanks for giving us a gift.
Yes. and just think, like, the age you are now is the age Robert Pattinson will probably be when the Batman 2 comes out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's something to be proud of. But yeah, that's still being investigated. That was just the most recently reported death. Before that, Emily Willis, another adult star, went into a coma last month after she had a heart attack that there are conflicting reports it may or may not have been induced by a drug overdose. And to this day, she is still unresponsive in the hospital. She's on a ventilator. And her family says that they're preparing for the worst. They're preparing for her not to wake up. And that's a familiar story that, you know, drug abuse is a huge problem in the adult entertainment industry. It's almost universal, and it seems like a coping mechanism that a lot of them use. And then before that, Cagney Lynn Carter committed suicide only in February. That was February 20th. And it was in an especially gruesome way with a shotgun to the mouth. And she was only 36 years old. And then before that, back in January, Jessie Jane died along with her boyfriend of an apparent overdose, and she was 43. And just in general, it's obviously tragic when anyone dies young, but I think that it's especially dark knowing what goes on in that industry and the amount of exploitation, the type of people that are attracted to that career path. I mean, if you can even call it that. And you have to have some pre-existing issues, some pre-existing traumas and desperation to end up in that position.
I do wonder if the Emily Willis stuff, if it was a reaction to withdrawal. You know,
that's a possibility.
I don't know I don't know what she was in for, but if she was in there for alcohol or benzos, it is very possible to get very sick and even die from the withdrawal from those.
Right. It says that Emily Willis was in rehab for 8 days before she suffered a cardiac arrest while in treatment.
Yep.
While law enforcement sources previously said that she was brought in for an overdose, her father says that doctors told the family from her early toxicology screen came back negative, so nothing was in her system, according to the doctors. Yeah. So it's impossible to know because there are conflicting reports, but nevertheless, it's clear that a lot of these people are using drugs as a coping mechanism for the horrifying stuff that they have to do for their work, if you can call it work, if you can call that a real career path.
Right.
I think
it has to be mentally draining.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously paid more for the more extreme things you're willing to do, and that means you have to continue going past your boundaries, going past what you were comfortable with doing at the beginning in order to stay relevant. And someone noted when they went to the AVN Awards, if you don't know, this is the Adult Video Awards for porn stars. There was a 5-minute presentation called In Memorandum, which gave tribute to all the adult entertainers who died in the last year. 5 minutes long. I was shocked how many had died. Since I left the industry in 2020, there are at least 5 performers who I knew personally that have died. This is tragic. This is not a coincidence. The porn industry destroys people's will to live.
Yeah, and I think a big, I wouldn't know the cause of deaths on a lot of those, but I think right now, heavy drug use, whether we can speculate on coping mechanism or you're just a recreational drug user who becomes a habitual drug user, fentanyl probably plays a huge role in that, impurities in drugs, in conjunction with the career that leads you down that path, could play a huge role in that.
And then you enter like a gray area of, is this a suicide? Because, you know, if someone has died of an apparent overdose, they probably were already at the point where they didn't care whether they were going to die.
Yeah.
And it's sort of in that gray area of whether they intended to or not. But they're probably using drugs as a form of escape from having to think about the horrific things that they've experienced. And I'm just, you know, tired of the constant mantra, like, sex work is real work. Sex work is real work. Like, if this were congruent with every other career path, then we wouldn't see this extremity of comorbidity that comes with it.
There actually is another career path that correlates with this, and that's pro wrestling back in the day, which is because of injuries, drug addiction was extremely prevalent, right? So there was a lot of deaths. I mean, every year there's a very similar situation where a lot of wrestlers used to end up dying very, very young because they would get hooked on drugs and eventually overdose, you know, on top of, you know, the steroids and all the other things that mess with your body. What was interesting to me, with all of these cases, I think with all of them, is that, you know, the women in these industries, they do make better money than the men. That is a fact. But GoFundMes were set up for all of these. Now that could be because the family doesn't have you know, if they don't know if it's their money and you have to wait for a funeral to be out of, you know, your funds to be out of probate or something after someone dies or whatever. But it's like they're starting GoFundMes to pay for this, and people were rightfully asking, they're like, what's the point of, you know, of taking this career path if you don't even have enough money to pay for your funeral? And of course, there's also the discussion that was going on a lot of times when these things happen. There's a lot of, you know, cruelty in the comment sections of these, you know, when these things happen. And, you know, if you work in the industry, I think a lot of them expect it and they understand that it comes with the territory. But as, you know, the next generation of people are born into these industries, and we have the be kind mantra for everything, and you're supposed to just accept everything at face value, not understanding that the fact of the matter is, in the real world, there are going to be people who disagree with your way of life. And there is going to be a lot of hypocrisy. There will be a lot of men in those comment sections who will absolutely watch your videos and then degrade you and treat you like shit, you know, commenting publicly. And they have a real big issue with that hypocrisy, despite the fact that it's just going to be baked into what you've chosen to do for a living.
That was specifically in a lot of the responses to the death of Cagney Lynn Carter, the one who shot herself. When her death was announced, I looked in the comments. I didn't see a lot of hate or negativity, but I did see a lot of people just kind of making it into a punchline. And that's kind of horrifying as well, that, you know, these videos of her are going to be on the internet while she is rotting and decomposing in the ground, while she is a skeleton 6 feet under the ground somewhere. And that's just, you know, some really horrifying stuff to think about. And I think that also, like, from listening to interviews with people who left the porn industry, you can tell that it kind of operates in a cult-like fashion where, you know, despite talking about like sexual liberation and expressing yourself and everyone is free to do whatever they want, you're only free to do whatever you want if you're doing what they want you to do. So once you leave, especially if you say it's because you now have a moral objection to doing it anymore, to doing sex work anymore, they will shun you. There's like a shunning practice, and there is an even worse response where they're like dedicated to spreading more content of you after you've quit, because that makes it like rarefied, like you're a rare product now, and they specifically enjoy making sure this content is still up and spreading this content when they know that it makes you uncomfortable that this is still on the internet. And if this were like any other profession or industry, it wouldn't operate like that, you know? And the stigma, in a way, it's enforced from the inside, not from the outside.
I wonder sometimes how, like, because we were talking before the show, like, they get kind of broad brush now as, like, OnlyFans girls. And that's kind of, like, if you look at somebody like Mia Khalifa, who, you know, worked in the industry years ago and spun it off into a profession in other industries, and then, of course, doing her own content. And a lot of them see a lot more freedom in doing it on their own, where there's no boss. There's certainly less people that can profit off of your actions, right? But I don't think that does away with perhaps the feeling it might give you to work in an industry like that. We had the one video we did ages ago where the woman talked about how she had to quit doing it after like a year, and it made her, she could no longer be interested in men because of the way men would talk to her on the platform.
On OnlyFans, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is often framed that OnlyFans is the ultimate solution for women who want to sell their sexuality online, that, you know, now you aren't at the mercy of these studios and agents and directors and stuff. You're not going to have to work for anybody. You work for yourself. You're the one who's in charge. You decide what you're comfortable doing. But I think that is also a false promise, and it's a get rich quick scheme. And, you know, from what I've been doing, compiling all of these horrible stories about women doing OnlyFans, it's definitely not the, you know, magic solution that anyone has been looking for.
I wonder if that's why there's been an increase in deaths. Do these awards include like OnlyFans girls?
I don't think this is an increase in deaths. I think that the rate has always been high.
Right. Well, I'm saying the rate is like probably
there's just
the
more
same.
people doing it.
Yeah, because it's easier to access that career
Yep.
now than it ever was before. You can just do it from your home.
Well, I guess like all of these girls, they weren't specifically on OnlyFans, but it's just interesting that in the span of like not even 2 months, all of these stories have come out back to back, and this conversation isn't really being had because it's uncomfortable. And I think that you can tell from the comments that, you know, if people don't want to give up their porn, they're not going to acknowledge the ethical issues with it,
right,
with the way that it's made.
And it's kind of sad, but I think people care less because they're porn stars, which should also be another reason to deter people from choosing that industry and, you know, saying sex work is work, but at what cost? Mm-hmm. Like, it's more than just your body, and it's more than just the moral cost. It's the cost of you being seen less potentially as a person.
Yeah, and not like I think that's right or anything. Like,
right.
I'm not celebrating that that's the response, but it's the reality.
Right.
You know, if you're only perceived as a sexual object, you're not going to be regarded as a whole person with your own interior life. Mm-hmm. You're kind of resigning yourself to that dehumanization if you go into this line of work, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Corey Anderson asked, is Cast Brew ever going to branch out into tea? Someone's asking the real questions around here.
So, I mean, I can't give a definitive answer on behalf of Cast Brew, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
No?
It's a coffee company, but I would never say never.
Okay.
You know?
Keep the hope alive. Good marketing.
Yeah. Corey Anderson also said, are you a hugger or a handshaker?
To who? To all of us?
I guess all of us.
Depends on the person.
It does depend on the person.
What type of handshake are you? For instance, I am a hand on top of the hand handshaker. What? Handshake, other hand on top of their hand.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Yes.
I don't know if I like that.
Yep. That's me.
I just do regular, like, boring
one handshake.
Hand. Yep, one handy.
Do you have a strong handshake?
No, I don't
No.
think it's feminine too.
I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be too.
I love the idea that there's a guy
weak.
out there who's like, I was really into her, and then I shook her hand. Just too much masculine energy.
Overpowering.
Thought she was going to ask me to arm wrestle. I was like, I'm out of here. I can't do it.
Or do you like pull someone's hand like Trump does? It's like an alpha move.
Oh, super alpha. No, I should start doing that though.
Proto Man said, how dare you read a super chat while there is a genocide in Gaza?
Exactly. I mean,
I apologize.
guys.
I will be learning. I will be doing better.
By the way, and not doing that, if you were to not read the super chat because there's a genocide in Gaza, that's anti-Semitic. So you lose either way.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Can't win. Shane H. Wilder.
Let's get a third crisis party! How can you dance when there's a genocide going on?
Okay, sorry. I'll stop. That was really disrespectful, and I'm sorry. Shane H. Wilder said, I remember Harold and the Purple Crayon, but why is a grown-ass man playing a 3 to 4-year-old? That's a good question. And the bird is Peanuts. In Peanuts, in Woods, is Woodstock. Sorry, in Peanuts is Woodstock. The bird's name is Woodstock. Yes.
Do 2 more.
Okay.
Let's get a third crisis party so we can dance
Okay.
in the face of all this tragedy going on in the world.
The homeless veteran said, understood. Thank you for the response. I was homeless, but bounced back. Okay, that's great.
That's
to hear.
awesome. Congratulations.
Shane blew me off last I talked to him. No dice there. Thank you anyway.
Keep it up, man. And I'm glad that you got your life back on track. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Anderpson said, since nobody in their right mind would buy a shirt with Austrian man quotes, where can I find one? Asking for a friend.
It's a good. You're gonna have to look it up when he starts advertising the show. All right, Mary. Why the hell is Gen Z not okay today? It's another day, another problem, another existential crisis.
This time?
Yeah, the problems with Gen Z really never end. It's just a bottomless pit of complaining and whining. Well, we've already covered this story before. The idea is that Gen Z is aging faster than millennials, and it's because they're vaping too much and they're getting tweakments, which means Botox and fillers.
Too much Zins.
When they're way
Zins.
too young to be doing that. And it's also Zins, of course.
Too many Zins.
We would be remiss not to mention that. Mm-hmm. Well, now there's a trend on TikTok, unfortunately, where women are asking their viewers to guess their age, and when they get a response that they don't like, they get their feelings hurt. And this was really shocking. This video of this blonde girl, she got this comment that said, respectfully, you look like you're pushing 45. Stop getting filler or Botox, whatever you have. It looks so bad.
Let's look at, we're talking about this lady right here.
Yes.
Should we watch this video?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Respectfully, you look like you're pushing 45. Stop getting filler or Botox, whatever you have. It looks so bad. 45? I get like, okay, maybe like late 20s, 30s. 22, yeah, shocker. When I first started TikTok and started making filler videos, like come get filler with me or Botox, I used to get these hate comments all the time. There's just people on TikTok that absolutely hate cosmetic procedures and believe that you shouldn't get them. And again, I think it's a personal preference. Like if I want to get filler, I feel like no one should stop you from getting filler because it's your own face.
It's not like they were saying, I hereby stop you from getting filler.
Right.
They were saying it's a bad idea.
Right.
Yes.
It was good advice.
But people always told me that I look older, and I get it. I look older. I might act older. But 45? And before, I used to cry over these comments and used to delete them and block the account.
Now I can't cry from all the Botox. Literally,
Yeah, her muscles are too
muscle
paralyzed.
doesn't
Her
contort.
tear ducts don't work anymore.
I just laugh at it because I know it's not true.
Do you, though? Do you know
but
it's not
I
true?
do respect your opinion.
Okay, based. I like the last part there. Good for her.
Well,
I think she's wrong, but
I don't
how old, if you just, I mean, it's hard to guess now that you know her real age, but if you looked at her, what do you think you would guess?
I thought she was surgery hard way. I thought she looked 38 surgery the hard way. Like,
yeah. You would think late 30s?
yes.
I think I would have guessed like 35.
Yes.
But I would still know, obviously, that she'd gotten tons of work done and shouldn't have. But she's 22. That's a bleak.
You think that's like she's just psyoping us? I want to see.
You
her
think she's
license.
lying for engagement about her age?
Yeah,
But she's not really 22?
If not, she needs to fire, or like whoever has been injecting her needs to lose their license. Because
it's so ironic because she's like making these videos like, come get filler with me, come get Botox with me, as if she's trying to promote it. And she might even have like sponsorship deals with the medical spas that she's going to get the filler. she's not a walking advertisement for filler. She is a walking caution sign.
The 35-year-old who looks like her is I guess is their walking advertisement for filler.
That's not even true. I think that a 35-year-old without work done, who, you know, is similar in what her original attractiveness was, that person would be more attractive than her at 22.
No, I'm saying a 45-year-old who looks like her with all of the injections would be the advertisement.
You said 35 originally.
But 40, like somebody in their 40s
Look,
who
honestly,
looks like her.
Yeah.
I think a naturally beautiful woman who is 35 or 45 looks better than this girl at 22.
Absolutely.
This is the look that they're selling though. And then you see it enough, you get used to it, and you think that's what's attractive. Or it's just what's in. It's the trend.
She
so
looks
people
like
want
she
to
should
look
have
like that.
She looks like she should have the Simpsons aunt's voice. Like,
yeah. She looks like she should have a smoker cough.
Yes. She looks like a 40-year-old soccer mom of like 3 that drives a minivan.
Don't I look
and lives
good
in
for
Malibu
22?
and chain smokes. And it's funny because like guys don't find this attractive. This is for other girls. Like she's being sold this as though this will make you more attractive to men.
I mean, I guess there's a certain portion of men who might find this look attractive. I wouldn't guess it's the majority. Like, she looks like someone who had a great canvas to work with and just totally ruined it. Like, that's the real crime here. Is that she looks like a girl who was just so like naturally beautiful and just totally ruined it.
I love the idea that she just went into the spa and was like, just fuck my shit up.
Seriously.
Fill me up, bro.
Seriously. And it's the whole thing, right? It's not just the injections. It's like the false eyelashes that are glued on, and then they laminate their eyebrows, which means you like perm the hairs of your eyebrows to always be standing up.
Yeah.
I guess that's supposed to make like your face look lifted or something.
Wasn't that the look like 10 years ago?
It was the look like 5 years ago.
Okay.
But I don't know. Dave Gazzouli sent us Canadian money.
Canadian money.
A lot more polite than other money with less, you know.
Can you pull that up?
With less civil rights.
He said, it's hard to say anything other than older than she is because it's a trope by now of the older looking woman getting filler to look younger. She rolled a 1. Yeah, well, they got input from a doctor who administers Botox, is trying to sell Botox, and they asked, can it make you look older? And they said, Botox with heavy dosing can leave your muscles entirely frozen with no movement at all, and a shiny forehead, which can make you look ageless in an odd way, or even older than you actually are, simply because you clearly look like you've been done. Heavy dosing done regularly from a young age can also contribute to muscle atrophy, a medical term that describes muscle shrinking from lack of use. In some cases, this can start revealing lines relating to structures below the skin, like large blood vessels that are usually covered by your muscles. Yeah.
That's painful.
So, like, I'm 37, right? It's time for me to start going in and getting my fillers done, I think.
They asked the doctor, okay, what age would you recommend people start getting fillers and Botox? And they said late 20s, early 30s. No. And I'm like, if you're taking care of yourself and you have your skincare routine and everything, you eat healthy, there's no reason that you even need Botox in your late 20s or early 30s.
Well, I don't have a skincare routine, but
reason.
I will say
there's
that,
no reason.
I'm going to go in and be like, okay, fill me up with the botulism. I'm ready.
The botulism.
Just inject me with the botulism. I'm ready to look ageless.
It literally is botulism, right?
Yes.
Let me look that up.
What?
Botox.
What is
it's botulism.
Botox?
I mean, I know it's like a neurotoxin, and it passes the blood-brain barrier, and it just those two things.
Well, I want it right past the blood-brain barrier to make me ageless.
Botox is a drug made from botulinum toxin, a neurotoxin produced by, I believe this is the same bacteria as botulism. It's a highly potent neurotoxic protein that temporarily paralyzes certain muscles and blocks nerves. In small doses, it can reduce skin wrinkles and treat a range of medical conditions. That's rare, though. It's usually for cosmetic reasons. But yeah, you're actually injecting a toxin into your bodies. I hope it's worth the trade-offs.
Isn't botulinum toxin like the most dangerous substance known to man? Like, as far as I know, it's like the smallest amount of it can kill you.
Well, if that were the case, they wouldn't be injecting it in people's faces, right?
Somebody fact check me on that. All I know is, like, look, I'm going to start.
But if there's a profit to be made, let's go for it.
I'm going to get my injectables. Somebody else
You might look young forever, though.
They said I could get implants. I could do that.
You're going to start looking like that after photo of Zac Efron.
Yes.
You're going to start looking like Leonardo DiCaprio.
We say nothing. Just handsome Squidward.
It's such a dated look as well, I feel, at this point. Like, the natural look is coming back in small ways. It's slow, but it's happening. Okay, there was another video.
But imagine imagine this woman wanting to pivot to cottagecore. It's just not going to work.
No, it's not going to
Never happen.
Cottage porncore doesn't have the same look to it. Doesn't have the same feel.
She can't be a trad wife influencer now. Okay, there's another video of a woman who asked her audience to guess her age, and it hurt her feelings.
Let's watch this one.
Wait, first of all, pause this video. Okay, show everyone the woman's face. How old do you think this woman is? Let's do it right this time.
Mid to late 40s.
Your guess is mid to late 40s?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Most people did guess over 50, and I have gotten so many hateful comments. I disclosed that I'm 38, but yet tons of people came on to my comment thread to say that, wow, must have been a rough life, and no way you're 38. Just lots of stuff like that. So it's 5:30 in the morning, and I have maybe gathered an hour or two of sleep throughout the night. I finally just got out of bed because I was just torturing myself laying there. So this is a little PSA to all the ladies out there. Don't try the trend. I really honestly don't think I look like I'm in my 50s. But apparently I do. And I'm definitely going to be having some work done. So it starts on Tuesday with my hair, and I'm gonna call and make an appointment for some lip filler because I got a lot of comments about my almost non-existent upper lip. But these are just my genetics. I don't have any Botox, any fillers. I do take care of my skin, but I still break out. I use tretinoin, and I'm actually an esthetician. So
there's the kicker.
That's the part of this that really has me upset, because I'm supposed to be making people look youthful.
Do you want to explain to the men here who might not know what an esthetician is?
Well, estheticians, as far as I know, they do skincare treatments on people. You know, they do facial peels, facials, basically.
Extractions.
I think that they often are employed at the same medical spas that do injections with Botox and filler. But I think that's the most ironic part, is that this woman's whole job is looking at someone's face and pointing out everything that's wrong with it. But when she asks the internet to do the same thing to her, then she gets hurt. Like, I feel bad because she clearly is like very much bothered by what she's reading. But at the same time, it's literally your job to do the same thing to other people. So it's a little bit hypocritical. She's making money off of other people's insecurities.
I feel like you shouldn't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Yeah.
Like, you know, especially, like, there's a reason, gentlemen, ladies, why that question is usually reserved for somebody you are in a committed relationship with. There is a bit of a social contract, perhaps, that when a girl asks you that and you have committed to one another, maybe you say lower. You know, like, or I shouldn't say in a relationship with, because you know their age by then. Like, if somebody, like, maybe if a guy's interested in you, he's like, oh yeah, you look 20, 22. 15, 20 times.
It's like going up in front
Don't
of
say 15.
like thousands of people and asking them if you look fat in this dress.
Yes.
That
Like,
idea.
not a good idea.
Does my butt look big in these pants? Yes, honey, your butt looks as big as Alabama.
And let me ask a bunch of strangers on the internet.
Yes.
I also feel like
tear me
most of
apart.
these responses are probably coming from Gen Z on TikTok that
Right.
are hating on her.
And it's hard to, when you're younger, gauge how old someone is.
I don't think she looked
Yeah.
like she
Older
was in
than
her
you.
50s. I would have
Right.
guessed in her late 30s or 40s.
Once she said 38, I saw it.
I guess like if she, I think for her, I don't think she needed work done. I think like working out would have helped her and changing diet.
Yeah,
was on
someone
her
said if
face.
she ate healthy, worked out, and lost weight, got a tan, she would be much better off. She doesn't need any work done.
And don't run to completely, like, permanently change yourself immediately after a bunch of strangers tear you apart. What do they look like?
You're giving them the
much
power in
power.
the situation that they don't deserve.
Yeah, she's going to spend her own
Yeah.
money to
RCW
fulfill the opinions of these strangers.
RCW says 21, always easy. Yes, just always tell them they look 21. You don't look a day over 21.
What? You don't think I look 20?
Yeah.
It's never a good enough answer. But yeah, it's just really sad, but also ironic considering that she's an esthetician and she's also directly profiting off of other people's insecurities.
Yep.
I agree with you, Brett. Don't ask questions that you don't want the answers to.
I don't know. I just I feel bad because there is something about the culture now where people feel the desperate need to ask this of the internet, not realizing that there's none of the social contract that comes with the people that are actually in your life.
And what did she think was going to happen? They were going to guess younger?
No.
I mean that's likely what she thought was going to happen.
I mean, I think that people just want feedback no matter what it is at this point. Like,
Yeah.
any attention is good attention. And I also think most of those comments are coming from Gen Z, and Gen Z is the most image conscious generation, I think, ever. Because they grew up with these mirror cameras and
Yep, your phone is
Yeah.
in your face all the time.
I mean,
and
she asked
reflecting
her
the image
age and they
back to
started
you.
telling her she needed lip filler.
yeah. like
I think about it. I'm like, I don't know
Dang.
how much I actually looked at, like when I think about my childhood into young adulthood before the cell phone, before people were taking pictures of themselves constantly. I don't know how much I actually even looked at myself in a mirror outside of like getting ready to go somewhere in the morning and then maybe and then before bed.
Yeah, but for Gen Z, like, being recorded on
Yeah.
a phone is part of their formative experience, and that cannot be good for their self-image. Can't be good. And it's clearly not helping with the way that they evaluate other people's looks either.
I also believe, and this is mildly off topic, that there's something that's even more superficial, because back in the day when all you had were 35 millimeter cameras, you took the photo you took and then you waited to have it printed and you got what was at least felt like an authentic capture of something that actually happened. Now you take the picture, you're looking, I'm like, my hair was off, let's redo it. And then you fix your
Right.
hair and you redo it. Nothing actually feels authentic anymore. If anything, everything is more staged, than it was before.
Yeah,
That's
except for when
sad.
it's 5:30 a.m. and you haven't slept and you're on TikTok crying about how you need lip filler.
Basically.
That's unfiltered.
that's fairly true.
Let's finish up these super chats. Gordon Shumway said, I think the guy from Cringe saw that Chappelle skit with Prince too much. Charlie Murphy said in the 80s the androgynous look was in. The guys who looked like a bitch were getting all the girls.
Those dudes were also rock stars, so that plays a huge role in who gets the girls, right? Prince, or a Freddie Mercury or a David Bowie, it's not the same thing as Joe Schmo 32, the androgynous boogaloo down the street, who just, it's different.
Well, today it's like there's no exception. All of them are feminine. Like, Prince used to be different, right?
Yes.
For having
he
an
looked
androgynous
unique.
look. That's unique. That's like something.
And he
that's
leaned into his own look. 'cause he was
edgy.
kind of,
Now
the
it's
soft
like all
feminine
of
man.
them. All of them are like that.
There's a great meme. It shows a bunch of 80s hair bands, and it shows Freddie Mercury, and it says the gay men in the 80s looked more masculine than the straight rock stars. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Bucky Ducky said, Mary, mental illness. Anyways, the gays. Yes, always the most tactful. Surenko Productions said, ironically, by adding more emotions, the movie disregards how psychology defines the 5 main emotions, which is what the original movie was based on. not sure what you mean. You mean Inside Out?
Like you're saying it was somewhat based on fact.
Oh.
And now they've just kind of gone in a completely different direction.
I mean, I guess that the point is they're introducing offshoots of the main emotions as you develop and you mature. Like sadness would also include, I don't know.
Is sexuality an emotion or a biological drive?
Yeah, it's not an emotion, despite what all of them were saying.
Right.
I don't know. Apostle of JBL said, since everything is a psyop, if Haley Lewin got her military psyop training from a North Carolina military base, does that mean that Mary is a psyop too?
Yes.
Wait, who is that?
I don't know who that is. But yes, Mary got her military psyop training from a military base.
Okay.
I'm sorry. There's a comment that says Prince walked so Harry Styles could trip over his own feet, which made my day. Thank you.
So true. Pat the plumber said, what's the best day or time to order AN coffee, Queen?
Appalachian Nights ground is back in stock, so I would order it literally right now.
Okay.
Okay, I do have to point out, there was something funny, since we're talking coffee.
Yeah.
So as you guys know, yesterday we discussed the whole Hannah Baron mishgas that was going on online about her being a potential psyop. Because she has all these pictures posing, wearing Black Rifle coffee merch. It's almost like she was an influencer before all this and had all these pictures, right? And everyone right now is pissed at Black Rifle Coffee Company. I thought this was common knowledge that they were that they donated to Act Blue and that they donated to Democrats and that they're basically they're commies disguised as a veteran-owned companies. Whatever.
Why did they do that?
No clue. Okay, so but the point is, the funny thing about this is there is a company called Black Rifle Company that now keeps getting people sending them hate messages and they're like, please leave us alone.
What is their company?
They just make weapons.
They just make Black Rifles.
The guy goes, we are Black Rifle. We are not the coffee company. We don't care about politics. We loathe politics. And somebody's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't donate to Democrats, you commies. And he's like, can you not read? We're not the same company. And it's literally a bunch of people proving that their anger outweighs their ability to read a coherent sentence. And so the whole thing says this guy, and I love it because the guy arguing with them just feels like a Gen Xer who just wants to say mean things online. So he's like, are you listening to me, you idiot? It's great. And these poor guys, right? And then somebody's like, maybe you should change your name. He's like, no, we're not changing our name. We've been helping, homeless veterans and doing all this stuff under this name since 2011. I'm not changing my company name because you can't read.
Yeah. Then Black Rifle Coffee Company just came and ruined everything for them. Yeah. That's sad.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope they make it out of this.
We are almost at a third crisis party, guys. Let's get a third crisis party. Come on.
DCNC said adult film stars gotta stop reading the comments on their adult vids.
There's also, apropos to nothing, there was a comment in the chat earlier where somebody says, unironically, the Pornhub comments are more tame than YouTube or Twitter comments.
Oh, really?
Someday it would be hilarious to somebody in that industry needs to do a comment section where they read their own comments on videos.
That would be funny.
If there's anybody who works in that industry that watches this show, you should do that. You should react to your own comments.
There might be. Anyone out there? You have the idea now. Colin, your buddy, said one more for the crisis meter. Thank you.
Let's go.
Thanks. Gordon Shumway said, Mary, do you think in the future we will see a trend of self-deletion with OF girls? You got to talk to a lot of them when you went on the Whatever podcast. I mean, possibly, but I guess they're not going to have the same publicity as the mainstream porn stars' deaths,
Correct.
It's obviously a lot more common for some random person to just start an OF account.
And they wouldn't have the same following, so it wouldn't generate the clicks,
right.
Which oddly enough says a lot about the attention economy.
Right. But who knows if it's already happened? It probably has already happened.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting point because somebody said earlier, they said, this is something that you have to expect if you work in that industry. When you die, people are going to make these comments about you. And I was thinking about what about all the people who die who just don't work in these industries that get no attention? Right? They don't get any attention because they work at a grocer or they laid brick their entire life. Nobody gives them any attention. So what do people want? Do they want no attention? Do they want bad attention? Or do you want to be the celebrities who get all of this adulation when they die? Maybe the worst of those would be to get no attention and work in the industry. Like, that might actually be the worst of it.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, devil's advocate argument. If women didn't gatekeep sex, the porn industry wouldn't exist.
No, because they don't gatekeep sex anymore, and the porn industry is bigger than ever.
Does that mean in like
Is that the
the like I guess what you would call the sexual marketplace is that women give men access to sex? I mean, I feel like there are less women who say no to sex than ever in society.
Right. I mean, like they say prostitution is the oldest career, so back when people were gatekeeping sex, yes. But nowadays, no.
Gosh, like back then, at least you had to pay for it. Now every woman is a hooker for free. Jeez. Shane H. Wilder said, I don't wish ill on anyone, but it's hard not to see that when you work in a degenerate field, then degeneracy will follow you. It's true. And, you know, I don't think we're wrong for pointing it out. DCNC said talking about porn when there's a genocide going on. Tisk tisk.
And we're almost at a
Yes.
crisis party. Imagine dancing.
Sorry.
Imagine dancing when there's a genocide going
We
on.
should have been talking about Gaza for the past 2 hours.
Yep.
So that's on us.
Gaza
My
culture
bad.
crisis.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, how dare you besmirch the good name of Zins?
Sorry, bro. I got no allegiance.
You will pay for this. Perturbed Alpaca said the blonde plastic thing looks like Jennifer Coolidge in Legally Blonde.
Oh
I'm
my
32. She looks 45 for sure.
With the voice.
She definitely looks like a little bit younger version of Jennifer Coolidge. Yeah.
Now, I guess the goal would be that hopefully it just holds and she looks like that until she reaches that age.
I wouldn't want to look like that at 45 either.
I mean, but that's her best case scenario. She's not going to look younger.
I guess that is the best case. The Manic Mustache said, hey gang, late as always and apropos to adult stars. I spent 4 long years in that industry. Most of the people I knew from then are either strung out or dead. Many of them AVN winners.
Sad.
Wow. And he also said the problem isn't needing an outlet for sexual experience. The problem is, why do you have the need to express yourself in that way?
I do. One thing about the industry, I do find the people who make it mainstream and become successful fascinating. As the people who become like moguls in their own right to monetize their own sexuality, you know, into larger business models. And there are some examples of that have gone on to be like Lisa Ann or what, like she works in sports and is very, very mainstream in a lot of ways. And there
Jenny
are
McCarthy.
Yeah, like there are examples of that of people that have done that. And I do think that that's fascinating because that came at a time when it was, somebody in the chat earlier said, porn isn't pop culture in any way, shape, or form. I would argue that in the 90s, it was very pop culture. Playboy, if you can, you know, considering that porn is every bit as much pop culture as anything else. And you have shows like True Detective Season 1 and others that employ women that work in that industry because more and more they are starting to fuse together and there's not a whole lot of distinction between your average HBO cable show and that of the adult film industry. So I think that's actually more relevant now than ever. So I think that one of two things happen. Sure, yes, more deaths will happen as more people enter the industry and see it as a viable career path. But also, there's going to be more and more that find their way to mainstream success. There's even the opposite. Maitland Ward, who was on Boy Meets World, is now an extremely successful adult film star who says that she prefers that industry over acting. Now, she came from an era where she was probably just as at risk to be harmed sexually on a kid's television show as she ever was in the adult film industry, right?
Right.
There's all to be said. So it's kind of a fascinating character study on what happens when you have a lot of sexual freedom, like a free market to make money in a bunch of different ways. And then you're kind of in a race against time against the possibility of addiction, depression, all of these things. And that's not to say that there aren't people in other careers that end up depressed and addicted to drugs, doing their own things. Like I said, wrestling is another example. It takes a different toll on the body, but it takes a toll nonetheless, psychologically, mentally. It's fascinating.
We have a $50 super chat from Just for Tomorrow 89. He said, I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoy the show. I'm a Python developer and listening to you in the background while I work has become a ritual. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool.
You're welcome. we love to hear that we're part of your work day.
That is the ultimate compliment as far as I'm concerned.
I'm surprised you have the focus for that, though. Dreamcast Knight sent $20. I'm sorry, guys, but Dylan Mulvaney thinks it's time for a music career. Barf. I looked this up. I don't see anything about Dylan Mulvaney starting a music career, but that will be interesting.
I love the idea that he's perfect. He's like the greatest singer in the world.
Well, he has a musical theater background.
Yeah, that's true. Forgot about that.
I saw that. We did react to that one video of him singing. Corey Anderson said, imagine losing sleep over being told you look old. It actually is counterproductive, though. If you want to look younger, you need to sleep.
How can you be dancing at this time? In a time like this?
Well, there's a genocide going on.
Dancing? In this economy?
Shane H. Wilder said, I had a 21-year-old coworker get Botox because she thought she looked old. She didn't. All I could think was, why? You look like you had a stroke. Yeah, I mean, that's usually the result. I mean, you're actually paralyzing the muscles in your face. That's what a stroke looks like. It's like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I think that sometimes negative reinforcement is necessary. Yep. It's over 9,000 said the way Tim described Bucko's final moments made me cry because it was almost the exact same process my cat went through 7 months ago.
Sorry for your loss. I'm very sorry for your loss. And it's crazy. So Mr. Bocus was trending on Twitter yesterday and reached many, many people. And people that I didn't even know had met Bocus were like, not me crying right now. Like...
It's bringing everyone together. Mm-hmm. Colby Hansen said, why don't you have a personality, find an identity? Oh, when you don't have a personality, find an identity.
What's the meme? It says like when you're ugly and have no talent, non-binary.
That's the thing. I think Dylan Mulvaney actually does have talent, right? Like as a performer.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why he's perfect for whatever psyop job.
Yeah,
this is.
G-Man73 in the chat says, Brett, get a fidget toy, too much caffeine or something. No, this is just how I am when I'm on streams. I do other shows at night with no caffeine, and I'm a
constant movement over there.
I'm like that in general.
Mm-hmm. Just as long as you don't click that damn pen, we're not gonna have any problems.
I don't sit still. Well, and when I do this, I think of Boris in GoldenEye with the bomb pen in the last scene where he's like, so it's like 3 clicks arms the bomb, 3 clicks disarms it, and then Bond, the pen ends up in Boris's hand. He doesn't know it's a bomb pen, and Bond has to watch him while he's clicking this pen.
Oh my god!
And the guy doesn't know that the pen he's clicking is a bomb. Great.
That's a good scene.
Classic.
Boosted Yogi said, what would be better is a guessing game, YouTube comments, or OF comments? That would actually be difficult. Just for tomorrow, or sorry, DC&C said...
We were almost at a 4th crisis party.
Oh, wow.
Again, in a time like this,
in this economy.
How could you do this?
DC&C said, we're going to need a side-by-side of the 22-year-old, 80-year-old, and Jennifer Coolidge. Previous comment is right. It was, yeah. Tacti Platty said, just got more Appalachian Nights. Thanks, I owe ya memes.
Nice.
We love memes.
I'm glad you got your coffee.
Corey Anderson said, the week before the 600th episode, can you determine what y'all will do for each +5 tier for crisis parties so we know beforehand? Looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what we're not doing. Okay, I'm not dyeing my hair.
You've decided that?
I just...
No physical challenge.
I looked...
Okay.
So last summer, right after I dyed my hair, and I've told this story before, I shaved my beard on a Friday because by Monday there's some stubble back and you look respectable. Unfortunately, I shaved my face at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and then hey, we need somebody for IRL, and I'm like, please no. Literally, I will pay you money to not make me do this. And I still have the screenshots of that. And as bad as the face is, I look at the hair and I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry.
You don't have to, Brett.
Look, the hair wasn't the problem. It was the fact that you had just shaved that was the problem. So why are you blaming the hair?
Even after that, I look at the pictures from that, and I'm just like, I got to keep the...
Or you keep your beard and you bleach it with your hair so it all matches.
That will never happen.
He's
and somebody
holding
says
on to
Brett
the
with
trauma.
blue hair. That will never happen.
Damn it. Okay. Well, we'll have to come up with something better. Shane H. Wilder said, I will continue to meme while there is a genocide going on. Come at me, bro.
I wonder if somebody could do, like, it's like us when it's dancing to Tim's song called Genocide. How can you dance in a time like this? Well, it's because we're dancing to genocide. Like, or it would like that would be the name of a short.
Doesn't
like,
sound great.
Like, podcast host dance to genocide.
Yes.
That's the name of the clip.
Why are you creating the smear headlines before they're even out? High Voltage 75 said, just ordered my first bag of Appalachian Nights. Excited to try it. Sarah, do you have any fond memories of Mr. Bocus you'd like to share?
I have lots. There used to be like when I would come to visit before, there was like a dog that stayed here, and Mr. Bocus would always sneak into the room and drink the dog's water, and the dog never knew how to react. And you know, Mr. Bocus was fearless. I have an awesome picture of him I need to find, of him laying on an axe and yawning, so he just looks like he's war crying, like while holding an axe.
I love that.
I have one picture that I decided not to share out of respect for Bocus, for Tim, for all of us.
What?
I have a photo of Bocus asleep. Okay, so the Halloween decorations have been taken down, and there was little headstones that say R.I.P.
Oh.
And it's Bocus laying on a headstone.
Oh my gosh,
that says,
Brett. Too
Okay,
soon.
that's
R.I.P.
dark.
Little too
That's
soon.
dark.
Maybe
This was
next
over.
week.
This was from Halloween 2 years ago.
You scrolled past that one and you're like, nope.
I was like, no, not that one, guys. Not
Corey
that one.
Anderson,
Not yet.
Brett, just make Mary happy.
Yeah.
How do you make a woman happy?
I think that you guys want him to dye his hair more than I do,
that is true.
to be honest. But I did think that it looked good. And it was definitely the vibe for Barbie and everything.
Yeah, it was
your Ken era.
I got it done before the movie so that nobody could accuse me of doing so because of the film. So I had that going for me at least. Like, imagine I had waited a week and then I go in there and she's like, so you got a picture of Ryan Gosling you want to show me or something? Like, and I'm like, no, I do not. I'm not doing that. It's
I
not
miss
gonna
it.
happen. Chat,
Everyone does.
we are going to hang out here until we get the fourth crisis party. I don't care how long it takes.
Okay.
I don't care how long I have to keep Sarah here. I don't care how long I have to keep Sarah here.
Yep.
It's what it is. It's like if Sarah having to stay here until she dies is what has to happen, then that's a price I'm willing to pay.
Till I turn 100.
Wow. Okay. On the note of dyeing your hair, Dylan Mulvaney says going blonde saved my life on day 730 of girlhood. So that's what you could get if you went blonde. It could save your life.
That, like, one day I'll have to remember if I'm ever just like really really depressed and down, or maybe what happens. It's like Brett's there. He's sad. He's about to relapse, and instead, blonde hair.
It's like when girls have what were you saying earlier, mental breakdown, and they cut their bangs with scissors, like house scissors,
Yes.
straight across.
A mentee bee, as they say.
Mentee bee.
A mentee bee.
Yash said fed.
Nobody here is a Fed, as far as I know. Now, if we could check Mary's social media to see if she follows a bunch of FBI field offices.
That never happened.
But I don't think that that's ever happened.
You can Photoshop it if you
None
want.
of us are feds, or all of us are.
Sylvia says, how is it about Brett shaves his head? Well, I used to just do that anyways, because I didn't have anybody to cut my hair out here. So I would
that was horrifying.
Thanks.
Don't do that.
Don't shave your head.
Well, I mean, I would just put like the number, like the blade.
You
one
literally
on.
went bald.
I mean, not entirely.
I don't
bald.
remember that at all.
But very short.
Oh,
Guys,
so
Brett is not a
if I
monkey.
shaved my head, you wouldn't find it horrifying? I mean, I think you would.
I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Oh, okay.
I don't think a guy shaving
It
his
would
head.
give
and a
Brittany.
woman, like
It was giving Britney.
There's literally less hair.
First you
to
were in
cut
your
off.
Britney era, then you were in your Ken era. Corey Anderson said, when y'all getting married?
Who's we and y'all?
Or who, yeah, specifically who's y'all?
There's 3 people here. Is this
All of
supposed to
us,
be,
like,
is this like a throuple?
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm going to make the dancing genocide now.
There you
Dancing to Tim's song, I guess.
go. We are. Somebody says bald Mary would be cute.
please no. don't speak that into existence.
It would be like a Barbie with its head shaved. And like
yeah,
you
no,
can see the dots.
no.
Somebody says Brett with the girl boss haircut. What the hell is the girl boss haircut?
Oh, like a Karen haircut?
Is that
Do they think you have the girl boss haircut right now?
You should do the Kate. Wasn't it John and Kate? Like where she has like the spikes in the back and then like the bangs to the front. Yeah.
The Karen haircut?
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
That's the Karen haircut, but it's also the MySpace haircut at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, the goth,
For a brief moment in American history,
The devil's
Karens had the same haircut as their teenage sons.
Yes, the emo boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, or no, that was the one I already read.
Yep.
I think
We're hanging out.
we're like 50 cents away.
Guys, please, I can't spend another minute in this room with Brett. Please send us a super
It's
chat.
literally torture.
Yeah.
That is awful.
That was a joke.
Total joke.
Guys, send a super chat just to tell her that she's wrong. That's what your feeling is wrong. So he says I should get a perm. I'm not doing that.
Ew.
Like a Jerry curl perm?
No.
Pat the plumber with $5 says, "Bye guys." Well,
He's off to go remove more toothbrushes from toilets.
Chili's 100 years old because
Yep.
Ben Shapiro cancels Social Security.
Because Ben Shapiro said so.
I'm just confused. Like, they really were just flushing their toothbrush down the toilet.
It had to either be a child or maybe they were cleaning their toilet with a toothbrush and it slipped.
Who would
and
do
they
that?
had no other choice other than to flush it down the toilet.
What kind of psycho cleans their toilet with a toothbrush?
Who flushes a toothbrush?
I don't know. Colby Hansen said NPCs have identities, real people have personalities. I saw like more headlines recently about people that lack an internal monologue, and when you look at them, it makes sense. But I feel like some of them are faking it for attention. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone has an internal monologue. Right?
Yeah. Or
That's
maybe
impossible not to have one.
Feels it would like I always wonder if there's just something lost in translation. They don't really understand what it means to have an internal monologue. I would love it. I would love to be able to just go through life in autopilot and not
so
really
nice.
think about anything. I'm a compulsive. I'm always anxious and worried. So
It means though that you never think something through before you do it.
I like it.
So I don't believe
awesome.
Shane H.
possible.
Wilder said, "You're not wrong, Sarah." Corey Anderson
wrong.
asked, "Can you
About
take a punch?"
I don't know who he's asking that.
Who? I mean, me?
Is that a threat?
Me? Probably not. Bucky Ducky said, "Mary, you're wrong." I don't even know what I said. What was I wrong about? Dreamcast Night said, "Favorite emo songs." I mean,
I was actually thinking about this.
what what constitutes an emo song? You know,
I would say Helena, My Chemical Romance.
that's a banger. Yeah,
It's a banger.
for sure.
I don't listen to emo music, so
People get really like weird about what's considered emo and what's not. So I'm gonna just not say anything.
Oh, okay. I hope I didn't offend anybody.
I don't know. Nikki FM by Hawthorne Heights.
There you go.
That's a good one.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here already. Please and thank you. Sarah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me as always. Be sure to follow Casper Coffee on Twitter at Casper Coffee. We will always announce deals and other things we have going on. Also, I know a lot of people have been wondering, and I said so earlier, but Appalachian Nights Ground is back in stock. It's like our most popular flavor, bestseller, so go and check it out. And we also have merch. Buy our merch too.
There you go. Oh, also, I want a shirt, guys. That reminds me. I want to make a shirt that says, "It was the 90s." We need to find some variation of it, because that seems to be an excuse for just about every bad action that Hollywood has done in the last 20 years. It's like, it was the 90s. Okay, so would it be better to say, like, in my defense, it was the 90s, or just, it was the 90s? I don't know if that really
I think
catches.
it should be "It was the 90s."
So,
Yeah, I think people will get that.
yeah, so I'm wondering if we should make that as a shirt. Let us know in the comments.
You could also
Good
say,
idea.
"Look, it was the 90s."
Look,
come.
it was the 90s.
But then they'll be like, "Look at what?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Ray said, "If no blonde, how about some fun wigs?" Like on episode 600? We're just clowns.
Yes.
We're clowns.
We're basically court jesters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bucky Ducky said, "I don't know what you said either. You're just wrong." Okay, I'll accept it. Also, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Mary, did you say your social? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, guys.
If you asked me that, I would be worried.
Look, I've hit my head a lot of times. I've hit my head many times.
Oh no, he's finally lost it.
If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok, except for not on TikTok, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Oh, stay tuned in the post-credit scene for the final Crisis Party. See you tomorrow, guys.
Bye.